Hello, I'm Jim Dema with Clark County Close-Up. Thank you so much for meeting with us.
Good morning, Jim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Congratulations on your recent retirement. Why did you decide to retire now?
Well, it's been an honor and a privilege to have served the citizens of Clark County as a Superior Court judge for many years now. But looking back, seeing that all my friends that I started practicing with back in the 70s have all retired, I just thought it was time to move on. It's time to move on at this point in my life.
Okay. Please tell us a little bit about your background. Like, where'd you get your education?
Okay, I grew up in Portland,
Okay.
in a very ethnic, hardworking, middle-class neighborhood. There were children of all ethnic backgrounds there, and it was from there that I learned my work ethic, because at a young age of 10, I started delivering newspapers.
Oh.
And I continued to have jobs throughout high school and college, in fact, even during law school, to help you get through the costs of those educations. So after graduating from high school in Portland, I attended the University of Oregon. I attained a Bachelor of Science degree in political science. So my interest in government was, peaking at that time, but I thought I'd like to continue my education, and that's when I decided to go to law school at Lewis and Clark College in Portland.
Okay. Now, what was your professional background before becoming a judge?
Oh, well, my professional background before becoming a judge, of course, was over 20 years of practice as an attorney here in Vancouver and serving as a part-time judge and court commissioner for many years.
Okay. Was it always your ambition to become a judge?
I don't think any of my legal friends, the attorneys out there that have become judges, I don't think anyone has an ambition to become a judge. I think that as your career evolves through the years, I think that's when you start formulating the idea, maybe I'd like to do that too. So that's how it came about. So.
Okay. When did you start first serving on the bench?
It was about 10 years into my practice. A fellow attorney approached me and said, would you be interested in serving as a traffic court judge, where you get to handle hundreds of traffic citations and you meet hundreds of people? And I thought, well, that might be interesting. So I said, sure, I'll do that. So I did that, and that eventually evolved into part-time judge work and part-time court commissioner work for the Superior Court. And that served me well, because that experience definitely assisted me in gaining the position.
Okay, great. What have been some of your highlights of your career as serving as a judge, Clark County judge?
This question seems to be asked of all retiring judges.
Yes.
What's the highlight of your career, Judge? And looking back now, I did a lot of serious violent crimes, just like everyone else did. I had a lot of emotional, challenging family law issues. I had interesting civil cases, working with the juveniles for years. But the highlights now, looking back, Jim, with everything I've done and accomplished, are the thank yous and the compliments and the accolades that I've received from many, many people, thanking me for being courteous, for being patient, for being knowledgeable of the law, and for being decisive in the cases that I decided. And that, as I indicated, that was in, probably thousands of cases dealing with criminal cases, civil cases, family law cases. So that, I would say, is the highlight of my career.
Okay. In 1999, you helped establish the Clark County Drug Court, and we opened the show with a story about that 20-year celebration. Thinking back 20 years ago, why was it needed at that time?
Oh, well, take it back even further,
Okay.
Because the drug epidemic that was in our society at that time was overwhelming. Drug users and offenders are a continuous drain on the judicial system. That affects all of us. They commit crimes daily. They burglarize our homes. They vandalize our cars. They even vandalize my mailbox. So I've been a victim of all of those. Mm-hmm. I've been a victim of a burglary. I've had my car broken into. I've had my mailbox smashed open. So this continuing drain on our system was having an effect on every state in the Union at that time. So about 1989, in Miami, Florida, because of the huge epidemic that they were getting in the cocaine use, this concept of a drug court started. So I followed the idea, for a period of time, and I saw that, this process where people commit crimes, they get arrested by our police, they go to our overcrowded jails, they go to our overcrowded courts, they normally plead guilty to the charge of possession of a controlled substance, they serve a couple months in jail, they're released, and the first thing they do when they get released is commit a crime to get the money to buy more drugs to start the cycle over again. So the cycle, this repetition of events was just constant. So I was a young judge, of course. I was appointed in 1996. And in 1998, I started looking into this further. And I approached my senior colleagues at the time. And I said, I've looked into this. I've gone to a conference. I'd like to start a program like this. Well, at the time, of course, we didn't have any funding or budget set forth for a drug court. So they said, well, you want to do it, you go right ahead, but you need to also be responsible for your own cases in addition to this drug court schedule that you want to do. I said, I'll do it. I volunteered because I thought, this thing might work. Mm-hmm. So that's how it started next year in 1999 we did a pilot program which the Superior Court judges authorized, and we went from there. We had 12 people. Well, we had 4 people to start, then pretty soon we had 12, and pretty soon we had 30, and now we have almost 140. Wow. 140 just in the one adult Superior Court felony drug court.
So how does the drug court work?
Well, as I indicated, with the drug courts, we have a very supervised system where individuals come to court every week. So they must report to me every week. They're reporting to treatment, of course, 3-4 times a week. They're required, depending on where they are in their level of treatment, they have treatment 3-4 times a week. So it's a commitment by them. We make them responsible for their sobriety. And then after they go to their treatment, they come to court. We supervise them on the street too, because law enforcement knows who's in drug court. So if law enforcement sees a drug court participant jaywalking, law enforcement will tell us.
Oh, really?
So if law enforcement sees a drug court participant out past curfew at 9 o'clock, law enforcement will tell us. So we keep a real tight rope on them to make sure they're in compliance with all our requirements. So it's the curfew, it's you can't travel over the river, you can't travel outside Clark County. Oh, wow. We want you here, we want you focused on the therapeutic, the treatment aspect of court, and that's what they commit to.
And then they avoid the jail time. If they go through that, and the idea is that they be clean when they...
That's correct.
Got out.
And that's that I guess what you would call the trade-off, because for them, the incentive, as I've learned through the years, all of them don't want to get clean. Mm-hmm. Most of them just want to get out of jail and use again, because these are people now that we're focusing on that are what we call the high-risk, high-need individuals that have been through the system many times, that come before you, adults who've been using since they were 12, 13 years of age, that have 4 or 5 crimes on their history. And as individuals in the program have told me, they probably commit 7 crimes before they're caught. So you can see the epidemic of criminality with this population we deal with that are drug users.
So what that's kind of gets to the next question. How has drug court impacted our community?
Oh my goodness. How has drug court impacted our community? Well, we have approximately 1,700 people that have successfully completed the program.
Wow,
And this is in the
1,700.
adult, the Superior Court, the Juvenile Court, the District Court. And approximately 80% of those people do not get rearrested. So our statistics are the best in the state. The model that we have here in Clark County is copied by other counties. So that's a huge impact because those are people that are not getting rearrested by law enforcement. Those are people that are not going to our overcrowded jails again. Those are people that are not in court again. And those are the people that were successful.
Wow. And now the county also provides other kinds of therapeutic courts. What are some examples?
Well, we have 7 courts. We have a family treatment court that deals with children who have been removed from their parents for abuse and neglect, primarily from drug use. We have a juvenile recovery court program, which I started back in 2007 for the juveniles that are arrested for drug and alcohol and a whole gambit of different crimes. So we have that program. We have programs, the family treatment court, as I've indicated. We have in district court, we have a mental health court, where of course there's such a big need now because of the overlap in drugs and mental health disease. We see it all the time. And we have veterans court, we have a DUI court. So we have many courts operating in Clark County at the moment. And as I indicated, these are successful programs. There was one statistic that even startled me because in 2017 and 18, of the 90 people who graduated from our adult drug court program, approximately $100 a day it costs to house those people in our jail. So for those 90 people that graduated and successfully completed drug court, we had almost $3 million in taxpayer savings.
Wow.
$3 million of those people not being in our jails. So it's overwhelming. For every dollar that's invested, $27 is saved.
Wow.
So it's a great return. I asked a local doctor, a friend of mine who was a pediatrician, how much does it cost to treat a drug-infected baby? And the doctor said, well, probably for the lifetime of that baby, probably $1 million. $1 million. In our drug court every week, we have the participants bring their children. Last week, we had 6 babies in our courtroom, and I call them my $1 million babies. So we had $6 million worth of babies there. And that was just 1 week.
Wow.
So the impact and what we've done with drug court, Jim, has been, in my opinion, and based upon the statistics that we're getting, it's been very successful.
Wow. I'm going to skip ahead. We're running out of time. What would you tell our viewers about the people working in Clark County government?
Well, that was one of the good questions, because we kind of did a left turn there.
Yes.
From, I'm thinking, all right, so I gave that some thought. And as everyone knows, our government is based upon the 3 branches, the legislative, executive, and the judiciary, the judge branch. And in our county, the executive are our elected county councilors, and they are the ones that primarily handle the budget. They handle the money, make sure that it's spent properly. And the legislative branch, of course, are the individuals, our politicians that we've elected in Olympia that enact laws. And then the judiciary branch, the judges who interpret the laws as set forth by the legislation. I found throughout my career that the importance of working together with the other branches of the government in order to make your branch work. So I found that meeting with them, I've met with county councilors, I've served on boards with them throughout the years to discuss our issues. I've talked to our legislatures in Olympia about laws that are coming down or laws that should be enacted. So I've found that a working partnership with these other 2 branches of government is what makes Clark County run.
Great. What are your post-judge plans?
Well, my wife says we're going to relax for a while.
Good for you.
And then we're going to travel a bit. We're going to enjoy our grandkids. I'll be able to clean out the garage and start my gardening, so that'll be fun. And then when I get all settled, I'm going to start a mediation practice
Oh,
in family law conflict with my daughter Tanya Rulli, who has an office here in Vancouver. She's already called it Rulli Law. So if
okay.
anyone's listening, it's called Rulli Law, where we'll be dealing with family services and mediation.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your years of service, and best of luck to you.
All right, thank you, Jim.